Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Racing Insiders podcast. Today, I have a special guest to bring on today, and this is someone I've known for several years. I met him first at Antioch Speedway in Morganton, North Carolina, not to be confused with the Antioch Speedway in California. And his nickname is Mr. Smooth. Today, I want to introduce you to Jason Smoot he's a series promoter. He does lots of things in racing. And welcome to the show, Jason. Welcome to the show, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, I'd love to just kind of kick things off and let people know, tell people what you're all involved with these days, and then we can kind of back up and see where you came from.
Well, right now, these days, I guess, two series. I got the American Racer Modified Series. This is pretty much our fourth year. Third real season, and fourth we've been doing it. But then the Blue Ridge Outlaws, we're on our ninth season with them. Helping out at East Lincoln Motor Speedway with track prep and kind of promoting a little bit with them. Then now I got to come back home, formerly Friendship Speedway, but now it's Ultimate Motorsports Park with Bobby and Jessica Cooler and Wayne Quisenberry, and that's been a real treat. I'm glad it's back open and I'm part of it.
That's exciting. I know that there's just been so much excitement about bringing the Ultimate Motorsports Park. Really, did a lot of changes going on, from what I understand.
Oh yeah.
What are some of the improvements that you've seen?
Well, first thing Bobby wanted to do was get rid of the inside wall, so better racing, and it has created a whole lot better racing, a whole lot different groove. And they've had two events. This past weekend they had a good event. It's just been really good, and he's added concessions to the back stretch, and he's got a lot of stuff he's going to do this winter. He's really going to change that place up. It's going to be off the hook next year.
In all the talk with so many facilities like closing down and becoming housing developments and all of that, it's just such a breath of fresh air to hear about new life being breathed into a facility, because hasn't it been down for at least a season, right?
Yeah, they run a little bit, but I mean, last year not many races. Then Bobby got everything here later in the year, so yeah. But they did keep the facility up, the ones that had it before, so It wasn't really a overwhelming going in and trying to get it ready for a race. We didn't have a whole lot to do besides the fuel upgrades that Bobby wanted. So I mean, in a matter of 2 to 3 weeks, we was ready to go racing.
Obviously, they did a great job of maintaining the facility during the times.
Really good.
That's really great. Now let's see, we're about mid-season or towards the end of the season here, but you still have some big events that are coming up for both your series, I believe.
Yeah, I've got our next event scheduled is the Hines Brothers Memorial for the American Racer Modifieds, because Steve and Mike at Hines Brothers, they've been behind me since day one, before I ever started the series. Steve's been out there with me, and I couldn't ask for a better person, and we miss him greatly. And his brother Mike. This race used to be the Mike Hines Memorial. Then we lost Steve last year, so we was going to make it this year the Hines Brothers Memorial. So that's coming up this weekend. Then for the Blue Ridge, we got the King of the Carolinas coming up, which is always a big event. Before that, we go to Lawrence on the 30th. We've never been to Lawrence, so this is going to be our first time. We want to pack that place out for the new owners there that took that place over too. So, yeah.
Wow. A lot of switching up here in the Carolinas.
Oh, yeah, a lot. And I'm just glad that we've been mainly part of everybody that has switched up. I mean, there ain't many tracks we don't get to go to in the Carolinas now.
Mm-hmm. Now, how big of a range does your series cover?
Well, this year we kind of cut back because I have really run my guys to death for the last 5 years. And myself too, and my family. We usually average 32 to 36 races from West Virginia to the edge of Georgia. So this year we decided to stay on that North Carolina, South Carolina line and focus on that area. And this has probably been one of the best years we've ever had with the drivers racing. They didn't have to race every week. So that gave everybody a chance, if they tore up something or blowed a motor, they could be back the next race. So it's been really good with that, and I plan on sticking with that from now on, 20 race max, and see how that goes for next year, our 10th anniversary.
Well, I know going into this season, especially, there was just a lot of talk among racers about the high gas prices. Not talking about racing fuel, just
Right.
just to get to the racetrack. So have you heard a lot of compliments about how, hey, you know, keeping it more contained has allowed the racers to come out and without having to go those long distances?
Yeah, that has been a real good thing. What a lot of them thank me about week after week, they just tell me thank you for not going 7 miles from the house, and with our tires that we run on our cars, that saves them a bunch of money, which helps with the fuel cost because their tires are cheap and they last. So the fuel that kind of takes care of the fuel they can afford with a tire deal like that. So I kind of think American Racer, they've helped my teams out so much in the last 5 years.
Yeah, great
Oh
guys
yeah,
at American Racer. I always enjoy seeing them at the Cars Racing Show, and of course, we
yeah,
work together on that.
yeah,
You're in the booth there with American Racer and Ray Cook and Spud and
yeah,
all the guys. Yes, always a good time. So
yeah.
yeah, hope to welcome you guys back to the show again this
Well,
year.
we love the car show. I mean, it's been good to us. It's accomplished a lot being at that show the last few years. So I'm looking forward to next year or this end of this
Oh,
year. Hope
good.
we go. Yeah,
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that beforehand. It's like going into dangerous territory here. Like, hey, what do you think about the racing show? So for anybody who doesn't know, the Cars Racing Show is going to be January 5th and 6th in Hickory, North Carolina. I am one of the organizers, along with my brother Jimmy Schiltz, who is the owner of Dirt Rap. So, just full disclosure, it is my show, mine and my brother's. So yeah, I definitely have some. I can appreciate. I'm definitely not a series promoter, and I would be scared to be, but it's interesting when being a promoter, you really have two totally different sides that you need to be able to make it happy. In your hand, you've got the racers, and then you've got the fans. And in my case, I have the people who are in the booths, and then the exhibitors, and I have the attendees. And you got to try to create a show that's going to make everybody happy, and enjoy, get the most out of the experience.
yes, that is the truth. And I mean, this year I'm really looking forward to the car show because we're gonna, you know, call me crazy, but I'm starting a new series next year, and
Ooh.
we're bringing out the Southern Wedge Late Model Association, which we're bringing out the old school wedge cars, and we hope to have one of the cars done and released sitting in the booth for everybody to see it for the show. That's what we're working on right now, getting that done to release that.
That is a huge announcement right there. And
Yeah,
how excited! Thank you for announcing it on the show here. I remember the 80s, and age myself or date myself here, but I remember when wedge cars first happened.
hmm
And it was I'd love to get my dad on here and talk with you about it too, or get you guys together. Might have to get you together at the show
yeah,
because he can tell some good stories about the wedge cars and trying to get the best arrow and all of that. So,
oh,
but
yeah.
people really like watching the wedge cars.
Well, that's why when me and you met, I had Antioch Speedway,
Hmm.
and I wanted late models. And at that time, it just seemed like the crates didn't want to work out there. We did run them some, and I sit back and I was like, what can I bring to the table that's different that can allow all late models to run? So that's when we had already kicked the idea down around at Friendship before I got Antioch, and we had a couple Blue Ridge Outlaw races. That's what I called it.
Hmm.
So then I just went in and worked on the rules a little bit more so I could add all engine packages. And I brought them to Antioch. That's where it actually started as a full blown series then because Lancaster picked them up. Then Harris picked them up. Then Sumter picked them up. But I did that for cost because people didn't have to go buy all this stuff. They wanted to go run another series or they wanted to go run another track. At that time, you could just come and race with us and you don't have to change nothing. You might have to take lead off or you might have to add lead or you could put the wing on or you could take the wing off for the roof. So that was all because of cost. So, now costs even got more. So I sit back with this wedge deal. There's all kinds of race cars sitting everywhere that it's not really competitive nowadays with the supers or even maybe with Blue Ridge or Bandits or anybody like that. So I come up with Ben at AFCO. We come up with a shop. That was
Hmm.
at your show. We worked on that at the show.
Cool.
And me and him's worked on springs. to get that done. And we're putting these shocks back in front of the rear end like they used to be, and you can take a car that's 10 years old and you can still win with it. And we got a cheap engine package for this deal. It's $4,800 claim rule on the motor, and carburetors and shocks and everything. So it's going to be really cheap for anybody to get into this, and it'll only be at 4 racetracks, local. Harris being one of them.
Which is my backyard track, guys. So that's like 9 miles down the road from me.
And we're going to go to Boone Fairgrounds Raceway in Boone. They're wanting something different up there. I've been trying to help them a little bit this year. I showed them how to fix the racetrack. We've took the modifieds up there, and that place just fell in love with the modifieds.
Oh, great.
And it's a little track. The guy's keeping it alive, and I've done all I can to help him try to keep it alive, and I want to see it stay as a racetrack. So it was shut down for many years. So we'll be going there with them. I'm sure we'll go to Ultimate Motorsports Park, possibly East Lincoln. And that's probably the only places we'll go to stay in that little circle where the guys can race and not spend a lot of money and have fun. I got them on a tire. If they don't bust a tire, they're probably going to be able to run. We're going to run 12 races. They'll probably be able to run that tire for 12 races, the tire I put them on. So you're going to have to drive the car. So I'm looking really forward to that. Bring it back to something fun. Bring some people out from racing that haven't raced. I done got 3 that's building cars that people ain't seen in a race car in 3 or 4 years.
That is so exciting. I mean, I think a big part of that is to inform the audience about what they're looking at, and I think then the more they know, the more that they'll truly appreciate what they're seeing. And otherwise, I think there a lot of times there's a big disconnect between the fans and their knowledge, and then kind of like this inside baseball kind of stuff. So, but at least the nice thing about the wedge cars is that they look different.
Oh yeah, completely.
Right. I mean, because you can have a super late model, a crate late model, a 525 late model. You can have all sitting right next to each other, and you don't know what difference. You can't tell at all from the outside any difference between any of them. But with a wedge car, yeah, you can tell the difference between
a big difference. That's like one guy, he told me he's done started on his. He's got everything there to put the body on. He said, I put the complete body on with the wedge nose cheaper than I could buy the nose for the other car. Everything. And they can run, unlike the Blue Ridge where we can only run spoilers on one side, which makes them look different. They're going to be able to run them on both sides on the back and both sides on the front. So that's going to look a little different, back like they used to look.
Yeah, that's super fun. And you mentioned Ben Baker from AFCO. He was actually on the podcast last Monday. So
super good guy. He's helped me a bunch with the shock deal. Him and Kenny Smith at B&O, because Kenny works with Ben. He's a big AFCO.
Oh, cool.
He's right here next to me, so people can get their shocks right there from him and Ben.
That's
and if anybody protested the shocks, Kenny's got all the information on them, the way Ben's got them fixed up for me. So it's going to be real good.
Cool deal. And let's see, I've got a few comments here from viewers, so we'll drop those in the screen here. So I see Alan's here saying hello, Kate, and Sydney's here. Good evening. Scott, he's usually our first commenter from California. He says, happy Monday from sunny California, that place without enough electricity to keep the power grid outage free, but yet the governor is banning petroleum fueled vehicles. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah. Do you see anything in your future about having an EV series?
No.
Okay. Yeah, hey, question worth asking. Maybe we should get some really big speakers. So you can have EVs out there, but you put out the really big speakers that make race car sounds.
Yeah, we could record next year, then we could keep them for sound. That'd really make it interesting.
Yeah. Or maybe that's part of the racing package is you've got speakers, speakers on board, and you're making your own race car sounds. I don't know.
Right. That would work. Yeah.
Hey, whatever it takes. I see Betty Hendren is here. She says, hi, you two. Hello, Betty. Thank you for joining us. And of course, her grandson, Alex, who is one of your racers. Alex says, hey, Jason, looking forward to the King of the Carolinas this year. Ready to defend my title. So of course, Alex did win the King of the Carolinas last year. So that was, and that was his first win, which was,
and it was a big one.
Yeah.
A big one, a good one.
Yeah. That's a go big or go home situation right there. Oh, why worry about like winning just a weekly race? Let's go ahead and win
King of the Carolinas for the series. Yeah.
and
we'll be glad to see him back down there.
And I see Timmy's here. He says Honea Path in house watching. I don't know who Honea Path is, or maybe that's this account here. Oh, but Danielle from my office saying, hey guys. And Nick is here saying, "See ya at Lawrence and Carolina, ready to get back after it." So
Oh yeah,
cool. Is Nick Dietz one of your racers?
Nick joined up with us. He run with us a little bit year before last. He's been with us all year this year, and like I was saying, it's just like a big family. I mean, Nick, all of them. It's like
Mm-hmm.
every time we go to racetracks, it's just like a big get together for everybody. We get along really good. Everybody does. And Nick and his crew and his family couldn't ask for a better group of people.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really good people.
Yep. And Stuart Grant Campbell, he's a good day, Kate and Jason. Happy Tuesday from Oz. He's from Australia. Thanks for the show. So yeah, thank you for joining us. And Timmy is here. Actually, he says your chocolate making partner. We were in what happened was it was like last year, and I went up to Jim Bernheisel's shop up in Pennsylvania. And so I'd gone a day early, and he's really close to Hershey, Pennsylvania. So I went to one of the Hershey museums, and we were doing this chocolate making thing. And of course, in there's only like 12 people, but like three of them are wearing racing t-shirts. So I was like, hey, um, hey, and of course I'm by myself. And I'm like, you just like automatically know your people, so we sat at their table and we did all this chocolate making things, and it was really cool. So that was fun.
Yeah.
Just how you can pick your racing people out no matter where you go.
Oh yes,
Mhm.
always.
Yep. And Jimmy's here. He's saying, hello, watching from Ultimate Motorsports and RV Park while taking out some trees for future changes. Oh, exciting. So Jimmy Watson, he must be part of that whole team there. Yes.
Jimmy's over there. Yeah, Watson's logging. They're clearing the rest of the trees off the property for the improvements this winter. Jimmy and him also race with me. Dylan Watson, they race with me too.
Mhm.
So there, has some more of them. It's just like a big family with us when we go racing. We have a good time.
Well, I love hearing that because, when it comes to social media, you see so much, oh, drama,
Oh yeah.
complaining, negativity. I mean, just fill in the blanks. Has that been a big part of what you've seen, or have you seen it in different areas?
Well, yeah. There's a, and I was going to say it on here, but that's probably one of the reasons I'm going to leave one of the tracks that I work at is because of that. I'm not going to be around it no more. I mean, I really ain't. And it's just something about that area. I can't deal with it no more. It's just too far. They want to bring you into the drama, and I don't want to be in it. I just don't want to do it.
Mhm. Yeah, I 1,000% agree. It was there was I ran into a situation where I was getting a lot of hate on social media, and it took me out for like a whole year, pretty much. I mean, I would just kind of show up and try to shelter myself as much as possible, but um, that sucks because because then you don't like fully show up in your, really deliver the value that that I think is possible there for sure.
Oh yeah, I
So,
mean, yep,
yeah, so it sucks. I hate to see the negativity. I really hate to see negativity at a track, or in the comments of a track that I've not been to before, because I think people really, uh, they really lose sight. I mean, they might be super fans, but they don't realize that, like if you're gossiping within a group, I think the best example I would have is growing up and having a brother. I could say to my friends, my brother is such a jerk. Because of course
right,
you're gonna say that. But as soon as my friend says, "Oh, yeah, your brother is a jerk." I'm like, "Don't be talking about my brother that way," you know?
right,
So I would guess that a lot of these negative people, if you were to confront them on it or say, "You're right. The track you go to it just sucks. It's just terrible." They'd probably bounce right back at you and then attack you. But
right,
what they don't realize is that somebody new or somebody thinking about going to a track or watching a series, if they see all that negativity, it's like, I'm not going to bother. If I see reviews for a movie and everything says it's terrible, why would I go? Why
right,
would I waste my time? Why would I waste my money going and doing something like that? If the inside people say it's terrible, then why would I think any different? So I think
exactly.
that can definitely be hurtful to racing. But I'm glad to see that you're seeing so much positivity and, like you said, the family atmosphere. You've done a
Oh,
really good job on social media. I've seen for sure.
well, I guess that would go back from when I started Antioch, and you kind of helped me out a little bit with some stuff at Antioch when y'all
That's
was
right,
coming
I
over.
did. I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
you kind
Yeah.
of helped me out. I was just starting out with doing that there, and you come to me and you helped me for the
Mhm.
rest of the season pretty much doing stuff and tell me what I need to
Forgot
do
about
to
that.
improve stuff.
That was like 9 years ago, or I totally lose
It
track.
was actually 2015 is when it was.
Okay.
2015, 2016. Yeah.
Okay.
I got it in 2014. We didn't race in 20. We had practice in December of 2014, and we opened
Mhm.
up in 2015.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I stayed there till 28. The Thanksgiving weekend 2018 is when we walked away from there. Yeah.
Now, what did make you walk away?
Well, I had started the Blue Ridge deal, and it had really went bigger than I thought it was going to. And the first 3 years when we went to a racetrack, it was Spud with tires and Brian, my photographer. That was it. I was stuck at a racetrack somewhere,
Mhm.
you know, and the drivers, said, you're growing too fast. You're going to have to start doing something. So, then you have to have a race director. Then you got to have tech. Then you got to have, everything. You got to have sign in and all that. So, I thought, well, we might as well go on the road and take off with it and do what we got to do. And they was wanting to sell that racetrack at that time, and it needed a lot of work, a lot of upgrades. That with us being a leaseholder, we couldn't do it
Mhm.
and pay for what needed to be done and be able to make any money. So it was time to say, what do you want to do? You want to stay here and patch and do this? No, or you want to go on the road and have some fun, take care of these drivers that's been supporting you that wants to make a series out of this. So that's what we did.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think you made the right move. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those situations where you're really getting. It's not like you can have your main job and a side gig. I mean, like there would be competing priorities. You just couldn't do it. So it kind of had to be one or the other. And
Yeah, I had to pick one or the other, so that's what we went with.
now, how did you find yourself ending up being a track promoter in a series, and starting a series? I mean, that's not something like you pick out of the catalog. How'd you get involved in racing and get to where you are?
Well, my grandpa got me started in it. When I was old enough to walk, probably couldn't even walk good. Him and my grandma was taking me to the racetracks. We was lucky enough where I live at, still live here today. We had 3 dirt tracks within 15 minutes of the house, 20 minutes at the most. And if there's a racetrack running, Paul was going and my grandma was going. They was taking me, and and they built Friendship right here at the house. I mean, so I remember going there, and then I had cousins that started racing. And then my uncle started racing. I started going to races with him, and then I started helping people on race cars, working on them, learning. Then I decided I wanted to race. So we still had what they called a super stock for at Friendship then, and that was like a miniature late model. So I bought me one. My grandpa told me, he said, "You don't want to do that. You can't do that." I was like, "I'm going to do it." So I bought me one. I raced one race and bought it home. And I said, "Paul, it's for sale. I'm done. I got my one race in. I'm done." So I went back to working on race cars. And
What did you not like about actually being behind the wheel?
I thought I could drive one after sitting in the grandstands for all them years and watching it, but I couldn't drive it. Couldn't drive it a lick. But I had fun.
Hey, it's the important
So,
part.
but I said, no, this ain't for me. So 2 or 3 days later, it was gone, and I went back to working on race cars for people. Then, I went to work with me and Jason Atkins and Clint Elkins. I worked for NDRA. Done that for a while, and then me and Jason both left after just a few things. We wanted to go a different way. It just wasn't working out with what we need to do. And Denny Wood and Phil Hall, well, back up, I was working. Phil Hall called me. He said, "You want to go on the road racing?" And I was like, "I don't know if I want to go on the road racing or not." And he said, "Well, I'm getting a new supercar. We're going to East Bay. We're going to do all this, do all this." So I went to work for him full time, staying at the shop, working on the race car all the time on the road. Then he sold out next year. Then him and Denny called me and said, "Hey, we're going to buy Friendship." And I'm like, or lease Friendship. Let me take that back. I said, "It's asphalt. You can't do what we're going to do there." I said, "We're going to put dirt on it." I said, "Okay. Well, we want you to help and be the tech and all that." Because at that time I was just had left NDRA, I guess, because I was going to different racetracks every night with NDRA. I mean, when NDRA had their weekly stuff, they'd pick a racetrack out and say, hey, go to this track, sit in the parking lot till the main event starts, then pull up to the scales when the cars are on the track. So I did that for NDRA. Then we did the touring races. Fun story about the popping up when nobody knowing it. We go to Cleveland County, Thunder Valley one night, and the top 3 come across the scales, and I'm standing there. And the top 3 was illegal. All 3 of them. All 3 of the crate motors was illegal. So that was, I did it there, did it I-77. But then we put the dirt on Friendship. I went with that deal for a while. Then they gave it up. And Denny called me. He's like, you think we could lease Antioch for a big race? And I was like, I don't know. Let me call Danny. And I called Danny. So when Denny gave up the racetrack, we went over and put on a big late model race at Antioch then. Well, then another one of my buddies calls, and he's like, I'm going to lease Friendship. I'm like, okay. He said, but you got to fix the racetrack. You got to do that and the tech. And I'm like, we just got done with this. So I went to work for him. But actually, he didn't stay around here much. So it was me and Bill, which me and Bill's back together now doing the track at Friendship, Ultimate Motorsports Park. And we was having to do pretty much it all. Promote it, do everything there. So I've been there forever, really, since it's been there back and forth. But yeah, that was how it all got started. Then I went to Antioch, and I started my own series. And here we are today. We're going into our 10th year. Next year will be our 10th anniversary with the Blue Ridge, and I think it's going to be bigger than it's ever been, to be honest with you, from what I'm getting feedback this year.
Well, that's exciting. What I didn't know is, your 10-year anniversary, because my 10-year anniversary for Crate Insider it will be April 1st of 2014 from
cool.
launching the website. So our businesses are like the same age.
Right.
And at the same time, we've got all these other projects going on too. So I did no idea we had so much in common, but it's great. Cool.
Yeah. And that's like people ask me, they're like, I don't know how you do it, because I do. I work an hour and a half from home. I have to drive an hour and a half to work. Then I'll leave there and might go to another racetrack and work on it tonight. Then come home. Then go back to work. Then go fix another racetrack. Then worry about getting the points done, getting all the scheduling done. So it's pretty stressful sometimes.
Well, I mean, what I'd say about racing is it's not really a job; it's a lifestyle. I mean, and being an entrepreneur, it's not a job. It's just part of your life. It is what it is. It just lifestyle. And it's the lifestyle you choose. It means that we don't get to punch a clock from 8 to 5 and then be done and go out on the boat. It's just not really, it's just not how that works.
No, far from it.
But all right, we got some more comments here, and anybody else who's watching, feel free to drop in a comment. I see Hunter is here, Loudmouth is here, he says.
Yeah, that's the
I
voice.
believe he's your voice of the Blue Ridge Outlaws. And Spud's here. Hey Spud, he says y'all are looking good. Thank you, Spud. That's so nice. And Gerald says hello, boss man. And hello, Kate. He's saying hi to me too. And Brandon says the man. Brandon Smoot. Is that your son?
Yes. That is my son. He's been
with me. And he's got another comment. He says, taught me a lot about racing and fixing a dirt track. Awesome watching him tech through the years and help fix tracks. Cool. Yes. Well, what advice would you have for, you are well known for track prep. So what is some advice that you would offer to someone, who's looking for some tips about track prep?
The best advice I can give them is the guy that trained me is Perry Brown. He keeps a video up. He's got a page for it's called With Raceway Track Prep. And when I started doing a Friendship, Ultimate, I keep calling it Friendship. I can't, but Ultimate Motorsports Park.
Yeah. Formerly known as Friendship Speedway.
When I first started doing it, I'll tell you, I had a cornfield. It was terrible. I did everything I thought was right, and I finally said, you know what, I got to call somebody. So who did I call? Perry and Winky McGee. They the two that taught me. And if anybody hadn't ever done it, if they'll go to that With Raceway Track Prep page, they can learn how to fix a racetrack. But the problem is the dirt's different on some of them. So you got to figure out what the dirt likes. I've done 4 different tracks this year, and all 4 of them you pretty much got to do a little different.
Mm-hmm.
So it's but Perry Brown is the man when it comes to fixing a racetrack and showing you how to do it. And Winky McGee, I had to give it to them. They've taught me everything I know about it. And I don't know, I just love doing it.
Well, I think that's really cool. I didn't know there was a page, dedicated to it. That's really cool that there are
Yeah.
some resources. Because
Yeah.
you know, I think one of the hardest things is when I get into territory of I don't even know what to type into Google. If I'm there, like I don't even know what question to ask, but I know, that's a rough spot to be in. Um, you
Mm-hmm.
know, so it's really good that there is an opportunity there. And of course, and Alan says, Withville Raceway is one of the best tracks you will ever go to. I've heard that. I've only ever heard good things about With.
Yeah, me and Perry, we're really good friends, and he he has taught me a lot over the years. And I mean, we talk a lot smart, and that's who I tell everybody. If you want to know something, go watch his page. You'll
Mhm.
learn a lot. My biggest thing is people want to do too much to a racetrack. That was my problem. I wanted to do too much when I was doing friendship. I was doing everything I thought, oh, this is what you got to do. This is what you got to do. And Perry, I told him what I was doing. He said, "You're working it too much. You're not letting
Mhm.
it sleep. What he called sleep, rest, bond." So that's why a lot of people see my videos, because I do videos when I'm fixing a racetrack to let them know, I'm fixing this track. I'm doing all I can. And he, that was just, it was just crazy. I mean, everything that he showed me over, and no, not a lot of time, but I get them done Monday or Tuesdays late. I do not want to fix a racetrack past Wednesday. It's got to sit there and sleep and bond together. I just can't get it to. And especially, we do a lot on Friday nights, and best thing to do is not open that track back up. You let that thing crack open, throw the water to it, she'll be just fine.
Well, that makes sense. If they think about like baking bread,
Mm-hmm.
you need the bread and then you got to like let it rest and rise because you can't if you were otherwise it can just become glue. You know,
Well,
Flour and water makes glue. I
that's
remember
funny you
that.
said that, because like tracks, I'll get them ready during the week, but I can't be there on Saturday to water it or Friday. And my thing, me and Tony at East Lincoln, our thing was, okay, I've baked the cake, but the people watering it has to put the icing on it. If you don't do the watering right, what I did ain't no good.
Yeah.
It was just a waste of time for me. And people don't see that. They'll say if it gets rough, they're blaming me for it. Well, it wasn't actually me. It was whoever watered it didn't water it right. And I actually showed that to them really good about 2-3 weeks ago. We had a real good Blue Ridge race there. Jay System actually won that race. We ran 40 laps, had 3 cautions, one for a flat, one for a tire rub, and one spun out. No wrecks on the little bull ring at East Lincoln. And they seen what I was talking about. Finally, after about 3.5 years, they seen what I was talking about then. So, yeah, it was, you just got to put the icing on the cake to make it right.
That's great. Do you think that most places over water or underwater?
It's about a split. I've been to racetracks this year that's been overwatered, and I've been to some that's been underwater. So some of them overwater it, but the track has not been worked or hard. It's so hard you can't get no water in it. I mean, you can put all you want to on it. It's just going to run off and it's going to turn black. You know,
Mhm.
it's just different kinds of dirt and what it is. So, but I have been to some that's been overwater. We went to one 3 years ago that we had to call the race off. We went a long way. They had to call the race off because they rained it out with a water truck.
Yeah, I've about seen that before.
Yeah, they could not roll it in. It could not be rolled in. So we had to go home. That was not a good thing. I hated it for the track prep guy that day. He hadn't been doing it long, and he came up to me, and I was like, "Man, you got to learn." I mean,
Yeah.
they can be mad at you. I said they've been mad at me before, but they ain't the one. They need to put their shoes on, put these shoes on, and do it one time before they get mad and complain.
Mhm.
It's a whole different world. Racetracks are dirt. They're not going to be the same every week. Not going to happen. Not consistent. I mean, they'll be close, but they're not always going to be the same.
Yeah. I mean, that's really challenging, especially with the weather and everything that happens in between events.
Well, like this past weekend, right here at Ultimate, it rained Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday while I was finishing the track, it rained on us. And I told Bobby and I told Bill, I said, I got a bad feeling about Friday night because that track's different than anywhere else. It's got asphalt on it. When the water gets down through the dirt, it can't go nowhere. It just sits there.
Mm-hmm.
You actually go out there and start sheet foot, and the water starts pushing out at the bottom, coming out on the asphalt. But I rode it, packed it, and everything. We got it ready Wednesday night, and it was really good Friday night, and it was really good Saturday night. So I was like, phew. I was worried about that water in there because it don't leave; it just stays there.
That's really interesting. That I was gonna ask you earlier if the asphalt is still underneath that track,
Yeah,
because it's gotta make it so that there's almost like a shelf of dirt, I'm guessing, on top
yeah,
of it, and then it gets down to that layer and, does it probably wants to run downhill, but then
right.
do you find any, oh, there's that slippage. There's a structural term for it that I can't think of right now, but do you find, like, chunks like this shelf just wants to, like, fall off of the of do you get any slippage in there?
Well, when it gets down, when your dirt gets low down there at Ultimate, if you ain't got a good amount of dirt on it, it will move on the asphalt and it'll make holes and as you'll start seeing asphalt. That's the way it used to be.
Mhm.
But when Bobby bought it, I met him down there and he's like, "You think we need dirt?" And one good thing about it, I was there when the dirt got put on, so I know where the asphalt is and where it needs dirt. And I told Bobby, I said, "Yeah, I got to have dirt here and here and here." Next day, we had dirt coming in.
Mm.
And like Bobby said, anything you need that we need, we're gonna get it, and he gets it.
That's the right way of running a business. Shear was the word I was trying to think of.
Oh
Shear.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Kinda reminds me of, did you ever see this is years ago, but did you ever see, like, the photo of, Indy, like, the Indianapolis Speedway? There was, like, a core sample that there was
Oh yeah.
yeah, there's, like, this core sample, and you could they had it all, like, diagrammed out, like, here's the dirt from, like, 1910, and then this is when we put, asphalt on it. It was this core sample. I don't know what reminded me of that, but I don't know if you've seen it. It's just kinda
I
cool.
remember that. I remember
Yeah.
that.
It was a pretty memorable deal to go, "Wow," like, 100
Well,
and something years.
I'm kind of anxious this winter. I mean, I think the last race is the mid of October at Ultimate, and Bobby's got everything lined up, and that asphalt's leaving here, and it's going to be. I want to be there. I want to see it. I want to get all the dirt off of it and see what the asphalt looks like before we start tearing it up. Because there'll be no more asphalt there after this year. We're going back to the dirt, and what's underneath that asphalt is some really good dirt. Really good.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean, we're going back to that. And I think they're going to open up to our XR event in February with Barry and them. So it's supposed to be a big show when they open back up. And nobody's raced on it. That surface, I guess you would say, in many years that they're going to be on that night when they come back in February.
And is that gonna be on the asphalt then? Or
No, we're
no,
going to
you're
take the
gonna
asphalt up and we'll put it back to the old surface,
okay.
what it
No.
was originally built. So it'll be different because everybody comes there is going to be on a new racetrack actually because they've never been on it. And that's going to be probably one of the biggest races of the year.
Well, yeah, well, because it sounds like it's like the opposite of Bristol.
Hmm.
We're putting dirt on Bristol after not doing it for 20 years, and of course they've, done it since then now, but, that was a big deal, so that's why I was curious, like, "Oh, okay, are we gonna go down to the asphalt and run 1 race on that and then tear up the asphalt?" I mean, because that's what they were gonna do at, Wilkesboro, North
Yeah.
Wilkesboro this year, but I think they did so well with the asphalt races that they were like, "Yeah, we're not gonna worry about doing the dirt thing."
Yeah, because we were supposed to be part of the dirt deal. We were
It
supposed to be there.
and I had considered going up, but it's just tough to leave my store and stuff to
Mhm.
be, traveling and doing events and stuff. So, unless
Yeah,
I shut it down. Yeah,
yeah.
just interesting. That's super cool news about that'll be interesting. I hope somebody gets a lot of footage of that and shares it, on social
Oh yeah,
media and everything. That'll be
oh yeah.
cool.
We will have it everywhere for that. And
Mhm.
I was going to told them on there we was probably going to announce something tonight on your show too. Another big announcement for the series because I know a lot of our guys are going to be watching this. So October 13th and 14th, we will be going to Ultimate Motorsports Park with the Blue Ridge Outlaws this year. We were supposed to do Fall Brawl at East Lincoln. East Lincoln has scaled back Fall Brawl this year, so Bobby's like, I want y'all up here. So Blue Ridge is supposed to be there, and me and another promoter that Jason Walls.
Mhm.
Me and Jason Walls will
Maybe
be
modified. Yeah.
we will be doing the Mid East Modifieds versus the American Racer Modifieds at this show for that weekend. We're gonna get all that
Ooh.
worked out Wednesday. Me and Jason are, so that should be good. And me and him's gonna be involved in part of this as when my guys run their heat races and qualify, his guys do their heat race qualify. Then me and Jason's got to go to the front stretch. They're doing a big thing for breast cancer. Then we're gonna flip a coin, as what Bobby's saying, and whoever wins the coin toss gets to pick the inside or outside.
Oh.
So we're going to make it interesting for the fans. Me and him are for that. And another thing that's going to happen is the top 4 qualifiers, the 2 American Racer Modified qualifiers and the 2 Mid East Modified, are going to come to the front stretch of intermission when we do this with a wheelbarrow. They got to go to turn 4 and push and race the wheelbarrows to the flag stand for their starting spots in the main event. So we're going to get the fans really involved in this show, because a lot of people think, me and Jason we feud or whatever. But I talked to Jason today on the phone, and there's no reason to feud over nothing. To be honest with you, there's 3 Jasons. There was me, there's Jason Atkins, and Jason Walls. We all 3 grew up in the same area, all 3 involved with the same racetracks, and it's kind of crazy. A lot of people don't know that, but we was and we are. So I'm kind of looking forward to doing this together with him, because I think we're going to put on something special for the fans, and both of us, both promoters being involved in it. And this was Bobby's idea. So he's got a lot of good ideas for this place. So I hope it works out.
I love it. And it's really in the spirit of competition and collaboration. And I
Right.
love both of those things. I love collaborating with people, but I'm also incredibly competitive. So I
Right.
definitely appreciate when I see things like that coming together, because it's not like a person has to make a choice. I mean, they probably choose which of the modified series they run with just based on where they live,
Right.
or
Yeah.
what's most convenient.
And the
But
only difference really between both of us is I allow American Racer tires.
mm,
So they can run the Hoosiers or they can
mhm,
run the American Racer. That's their choice. But
mhm.
on the motors and stuff, me and Jason's on the same stuff. So, and they run them. That's what they run weekly at Ultimate. They run under both of our tire rules. So you can
Oh,
run the Hoosiers or the American Racers. So they let both of our cars run there. So,
well, that's exciting.
and we share cars anyway. You got Austin Wayne Self that has dominated my series this year. I mean, he has come out. I remember when Austin started, he come and practiced East Lincoln. I got the track ready, and I was like, "Oh, Buck's gonna have his hands full with this one." And it didn't take him long. He picked up on it, and he just started winning. This year, he's won every race but one with my series, and that was.
Wow.
I guess that was because I DQ'd him, but he
Oh,
did win. He's won them all but one, and Austin is a super nice guy. Him, Buck, all of them. I got some good people with the modifieds too. I mean, we got some good people. I mean, we have a good time, and that's what I told everybody. Quit making everybody have a good. We didn't have a good time. I'm quitting.
mhm.
We got to have a good time. We get the racetrack. We laugh. We cut up. Everybody's hanging around the sign-in table, and that's what it's supposed to be about. Steve
I
Hines
I
always
agree.
said it's got to be like family, and that's what
Mhm,
I stood by. Steve has a lot of things I do because that's what Steve wanted done.
mhm. Yeah, he was such an influence in this, especially in this area of the country. And for anybody who's listening outside of this area, Heinz Brothers Performance, Steve, he just suddenly died last year, and it was a big blow to our whole racing community. A lot of people, and the stories that people came up with, that how supportive Steve had been of their program. I mean, my dad, my brother, they both went to the funeral or the wake, and it had a huge impact to this whole community. And that's why you ran like the Steve Heinz Memorial earlier this year, I believe, at Carolina.
Yes, and
Hmm.
we was at Carolina the night Alex won, when Alex mentioned a while ago.
Hmm.
And we had got done, and I think I was getting ready to take Alex's car, and I got the phone call that Steve had I think it was a massive heart attack or something.
That's right. It happened during the King of the Carolinas.
It
Yeah.
happened during that race,
Hmm.
and
It,
to be
yeah.
honest with you, after I got that phone call, I really didn't care nothing about being at the racetrack no more. I didn't,
Yeah.
because Steve was. If it wasn't for Steve, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now.
Hmm.
I would not.
Yeah. I found out I was actually on vacation, and but I was on I mean, racing related sort of. So it was Jim Norman um Rick Hendrick City Chevrolet that broke the news to me about Steve Heinz. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Jim's one
I
of
saw
my
him.
He's been with me for a
Mm-hmm.
while. I think the world of Jim too. Him and Steve was tight. We all went out and ate in the wintertime to get ready for next year.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim and Steve was really tight.
Yeah.
I miss
Yeah.
him every
And
day.
yeah, and then and of course City Chevrolet, they've been one of your sponsors. They're one of my advertisers for Crate Insider. So yeah, definitely.
City Chevrolet's been good for all of us around here. I mean, Jim, and before Jim was there, I was involved with Chris.
Mm-hmm. Oh
His
yeah.
sponsor. I
Yeah, I
was
knew
at Air.
Chris as well.
I
Yeah.
was at Air Rolling Thunder Raceway. I was working there, helped Gary when he was building it, and he sponsored him and Steve both come on board there. They called me, said, "You helping them up there?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, "We want signs." I said, "Okay."
Mm-hmm.
Then I went to work for Denny at Friendship. Why Air Wrap was open, and they said, "You up there?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, "We want signs." I said, "Okay, we got you." Because I'm pretty sure Jimmy actually made the signs. I'm pretty sure for
Yeah,
both
my brother
racetracks.
Jimmy, made the
Yeah,
signs.
yeah, yeah.
I
But
know all of this is like interwoven and
yeah,
intertwined. It all is.
yeah. And I've known Jimmy for years. I mean, he run with me at Antioch. He run with me,
Oh
won
yeah.
the NDRA, everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
I've
was
one of
helping
my
Chris
pictures.
Cheek. I used to
Mhm.
help Chris Cheek, and when I
Oh,
was
I
helping
just
on
talked to
cars,
Chris last week. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So,
I guess we all talk to each other and,
yeah, we're all right
little
around.
bits here and there for
Yeah,
sure. Looks like we
yeah.
got a couple more questions and comments. Joe's got a good one. He says, can you describe some of the equipment you use during track prep?
The main thing that I really use, I mean, I won't fix a racetrack without a sheep's foot. It's got to have a sheep's foot. But the motor grader, the sheep's foot, and that's. But whenever we go, this is a good question. There is one thing that I always wanted at the track was a relay. I had used one, at Cherokee when I done the track prep there, helping them when they didn't have no help for a while. And when Bobby called me months ago when he was interested in trying to buy Friendship, Ultimate, he said, "If I buy it, you got to do the track." He said, "You just tell me what you need." And I said, "The only thing that they ain't got there that I want you to get is a relay, the tiller relay thing." And he got it. And I recommend if you're going to have a racetrack, you need to own one of them because
What's a
it is.
relay? I know what a sheep's foot is, but I
The
don't know.
relay goes behind the tractor. It's sort of like a tiller, is what it
Oh,
is.
okay.
Like we had a big cushion the other night after hot laps. We went out there and put it in the middle of the cushion and rolled the track back in, and we widened the racetrack another 10 foot just in 15 minutes.
Oh,
I mean,
nice.
and if you got a bad spot comes up in the racetrack and you got a 10-minute intermission, you can fix that spot in just a few minutes. So, yeah, the relay and the sheep foot are your main thing besides your grader that you need. I will say that Lakeview's got a thing they call a shark tooth, and I ain't got to use one, but I like what it does. It just makes a hole in the racetrack it looks like a shark's tooth on the drum, and it helps it hold water just like a sheep's foot hole does. But they call it a
Oh,
shark's tooth.
okay. A little bit
So,
deeper, so then it's got like little wells then instead of.
yeah, because
Yeah.
Scott Tripp, when he bought Lakeview, me and him was really good friends, and he called me about track prep and everything, and he bought that thing, and I was like, I would like to use that one time because I'd like to see what it does on some of the red clay. Because up here we got red clay. I'd like to see what it does.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that red clay is tough.
Yeah,
For sure. I see we got some other ones. Betty says, "I love this, one of the most interesting podcasts I've seen." Well, that's cool. Awesome. Thank you for that compliment.
thank you, Betty.
And Donine and Shane says, say hello from Nebraska. So cool bringing back the wedge late model. And being a promoter can be a thankless job, but a good promoter is priceless. For sure. And you must
That
be
is
doing
true.
something right, Jason, because I actually even asked you before we started, what your thoughts were, if you get a lot of that hate. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but really, do you find it a thankless job, or do you hear some thank yous here and there?
I hear I mean, I'll have to say Saturday night, I didn't have to be at a racetrack nowhere. But Bobby and them asked me to come down there in case something happened, and I wanted to help Bill get the watering done. And I had to go up in the grandstands while they was collecting money for a kid that's got cancer or leukemia, whichever one it was. So me and Bobby, Jimmy Owens, and all of us, we walked up there. And I just walked. I hadn't seen a lot of them people in the stands because, it's been shut down. I hadn't been there. And everybody's coming up to me and saying, "Man, we're glad you're back. This racetrack is just off the hook, back like it used to be." That. Then I get messages all the time for the Blue Ridge deal. "Thank you for bringing back this. It's different. It's awesome racing. It's something we don't see." I get the good overrides the bad. I do get some bad stuff, but the ones that do give me the bad stuff is people I hate to say it, but they're just jealous because of where I'm at a track that they used to be there, and they try to put me down on social media because, they won't say nothing to me. They won't come up to me, but they'll make their post and it's about me. And it happened last night. There was one put on there about me, but that's all fine. They can't do what I did, what I've done. They've tried and it didn't work. So that's what it is.
Yeah. It's kind of a lead follower, get the hell out of the way.
Right. Right. That's what it is.
I guess that's a good way to look at it. And and I see Josh Harris here. He says, "Hello, looking forward to running more Blue Ridge races in 2024. Awesome series." Oh, look at that. So we've got a nice, here's a happy comment or
But
compliment.
Josh, Josh, I've known Josh for a long time, and that's funny that he, I'll talk about this since he brought this up. He was running in the points when I still had Antioch the last year, 2018. I think that's when it was. And Josh lost a motor, and he had to run all the races at that time to be in the points money.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh's like, I ain't gonna be able to make it. I ain't got no motor or nothing. And I got a buddy up here, Bruce Hall in Wilkesboro, that's got a bunch of racing stuff. And I was like, you need to call Bruce. Bruce wants to race. And next thing I know, Josh has called me. I'm gonna be at that race. I talked to Bruce. Everything worked. He didn't know who Bruce was from nothing. I just put them together, trying to help him out. And Bruce has helped Josh the last few years. I mean, if Josh needed something, he'd call Bruce, and Bruce would be glad to help him. And Bruce didn't know who he was. He went through me for that. And Bruce is like, if you know him, we'll do something. So I'm glad that I got that worked out with him because it helped Josh and it helped Bruce to get some stuff back in racing. And he's been getting more involved in it because he'd been out for a while. So we're always trying to help each other. If we can help them any way, we will.
That's exciting. I love connecting people as well. And
Right.
even when it's, situations where there's not necessarily anything in it for me. I mean, it's not really a motive. It's just, here's somebody who needs something and here's somebody who has something. And so let me just connect them together. And rather than being caught in the middle, I'll just connect y'all.
Well, that's like
you do your thing.
Nick commented earlier. He lost a motor at Lakeview leading. And he's like, man, I ain't got no motor. And I was on the phone with everybody I know. Hey, you got anything Nick can use? Got anything? I mean, I wanted him to be there. I didn't want to see him not be able to finish out the season. But he got it worked out where he could race. So I was trying. I was doing all I could on my end, trying to help him find something because I would do it for any of them.
Yeah, and talk a little bit about the engine package that you're running, especially with the Blue Ridge.
In the Blue Ridge, up till this year, we allowed any motor. It didn't matter what it was. 602 crate motor all the way to a full-blown super. At the end of the year last year, I took the super motor out. Due to a couple tracks I go to, a super motor, it don't matter what I do to it, it's going to dominate. With the tires, spoilers, whatever, it's going to win. So I took the super motor out, which I think helped this year too. But I guess our motor that most of our guys run now is the 525. I mean, that's the go-to motor. It's cheaper. If you ain't got nothing, it's going to cost you. You sell the stuff, but it still ain't as much as a $40,000-$50,000 super late model motor.
No, not even the same ballpark. Yeah,
right, and it makes good power. It's very, very dependable. We'll go to that Scott Shirey, our points leader this year. If he makes it to the end of the year, to Thanksgiving Thunder, this is 2 seasons on this motor straight from Chevrolet. 2 seasons, and he's run every race. He ain't missed a race in 2 seasons. I mean, and that's crazy.
Yeah, you would not be able to do that with a super motor.
And the thing about our deal is every motor package has won a race from a 602 to a super late model.
Oh, wow.
602s have won, 604s have won. 604 won East Lincoln. Scott won it. It was the biggest paying race that been in East Lincoln. Scott Shire won it with 604.
Wow.
Justin and Austin Mintz have won something with a 602. So, I mean, we got the rules pretty close. And with the tire packages that we got and we're actually going to tighten that up a little bit next year because they're making a new tire for me right now to do for the bigger motor cars, the I-90, what I call I-95 motors. The American Racer is building a new tire for that motor only to use to even it up even more for next year.
Gotcha. So, well, I mean, it's exciting, and you've got a growing series as well. You're seeing growth rather than decline, from what I understand.
Yeah, this year it's been really good this year. Really, it's been good every year, but this year it's been real good.
Well, and I'm glad to see it because, like the 525s, I think at some point, a lot of guys with 604s, when crates first came out, a lot of guys were coming from supers and then getting into the crates and then they just kind of got bored with them and like, what's next? And it's like the 525s have had so many false starts in the Carolinas here, where you think it's going to take off, but then there's some setback somewhere along. It was rings, and then it was rods, and I mean it was just different things. So I'm glad to see, because I think 525 is just really in a nice sweet spot. I mean,
It
most of what I
is.
do is the 602, 604s, but you look at it and sometimes it's just not enough. It's just, well, when you've got all these expensive shocks and all this other
Oh yeah.
stuff, it's like you don't really have enough horsepower to really support everything else that you're doing with that race car. You get street cars out there with more horsepower than I mean, it just blows my mind. And I don't mean that as any insult, because this is what I do every single day. But just saying that I've just seen so many false starts, it seemed like, with the 525s. And now, instead of like a big splash and then let's see what happens, it's like it's just kind of ramped up little bit by little bit, and creeping through your series, and now you're seeing that that's predominant engine package without a lot of fanfare. It's becoming like a 525 series, and I just think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, our we about 75% of our drivers are 525 now.
Mm-hmm.
About 75 of them 525s. So that's really, I'm glad, because City Chevrolet is one of the sponsors,
Mm-hmm.
and we try to sell them motors for them, and that's just what I want. I wanted, to be honest with you, at the beginning of the year, I had kicked the idea around going all 525.
Yeah,
And
you
it
and I
still ain't.
talked about it. Yeah, at the car show, you and I talked about that you might go that way, but
Mm-hmm.
go with
At
what's
that
going to
time,
work.
at that
Mm-hmm.
time, Chevrolet couldn't promise me they could produce enough. The motors didn't know. We had a shortage going on, so we didn't know what we was going to have. So I was like, "No, I ain't going to do that." But I would like to have done it. I know Jason, with the Fuel Series, that's what his intentions was to start with, and it kind of went away.
Mm-hmm.
But it ain't out of my. I'm still. I mean, I would really like for it to be 525, because it would save money. It would say, at the end of the day, they would all save money if they all go to it. And with that motor and the tires being $165 a piece, you can't beat it. I mean, and they last. So
Yeah. Well, and on that engine, I see I have another question here. I'll come back to that. But Shane's asking, in your series, can someone build their own steel engine?
yes, yes, yeah, you can be all our motors except the 525, 60. Well, the 604, I've got an engine package where you can build in the Blue Ridge, where you can fix yours, and the 602 with them parts.
Mm-hmm.
But the 525 is the only one that's got to be built as a certified builder, actually, with our rule package.
That makes sense.
It has to be built there. Well, you did say you could build the 525 yourself, but you had to claim it as a super. But now we don't have super, so that took that out.
Okay.
And you told me, another thing about that, in the wedge deal, we're allowing the 5.3, which is the baby to the 525.
Oh.
So you can run that. And there's a few engine builders that build that motor. It makes 500 horsepower for $4,800. So yeah,
Wow.
there you go.
That's a great deal. Josh is actually requesting, please don't do all 525s. So
I know Josh ain't going to.
okay.
It ain't happening right now. It won't happen, Josh.
We're good. Now, Mike's got a comment here. He says, Smoot is a doctor of clay and does a good job with trying to make things even. Glad to be able to run his class. And thanks, Kate, for the great parts and service. Thanks, Mike Huey. Thank you for being here, for sure.
Mike is a past champion.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
nice.
2018. 2018, I think. I can't remember all of them. But Mike was one of them. We called him the Iceman. I like Mike. He's a good guy.
Great. Well, I guess we're kind of coming up on the hour. Let's remind everybody about the rest of the year's schedule, and what big things that you've got coming up at the end of the year. And Mike, just before we go there, Mike says 17. So it was in
17. I
2017.
know
And
he
he
was right
was
there somewhere. I can't
yep,
remember.
in the champion. So let's just remind everybody of the big things coming up here. Run through all of your schedule here.
The modifieds we got coming up will be, if everything works out, it'll be this weekend, will be the Hines Brothers Memorial Race. Then we'll be,
At
that'll be at East Lincoln. And then we will roll into, where do we go? We got Friendship Speedway, Ultimate Motorsports Park. I was going to make forever to get that took care of. But for the 13th and 14th, combined with Mid East Modifieds. Then we will go to Fairgrounds Raceway in Boone for the annual Halloween Havoc. I think that is the 21st of October. I think that's the date. We got them on our website. I got so many dates, I can't remember half of them. But then we got the Blue Ridge will be at Lawrence on September the 30th for our first time ever. That's a 2,500 to win race for them for the first one. And then we go to King Carolina's Buddy Smith Memorial, which is always 3,000 win plus bonus. I think last year the bonuses got up. I think Alex left for $4,008. So who knows what that one's going to pay time he gets done.
And that's going to be at Carolina Speedway.
Carolina Speedway. Then October 13th and 14th will be Ultimate Motorsports Park for that race. And trying to think what else I've got. I got more than that, but I can't.
Well, there's also an exciting one. You were talking about the Thanksgiving weekend, and maybe you and I were talking before the podcast. So I don't know if we've announced it here. So
Thanksgiving Thunder this year will be at Carolina Speedway to finish out the season. It'll be back after many years of not being there. It'll be there this year. So that'll be the season finale on the series right there. It always ends Thanksgiving weekend, always has, and that's what we always plan on doing. That's our big race of the year for Thanksgiving Thunder. Everybody kind of gets together after they eat Thanksgiving on Thursday, and we got Friday and Saturday at the racetrack. Either it's cold or it's okay and everybody has a good time, but it has been very cold before. I think the first one at Antioch, it got down to somewhere in the 19 or 20 degrees that night. The racetrack would actually freeze over in between classes. It was crazy.
Wow. Oh, and Hunter is here. He's doing his promotional job here. So Sumter, November 4th is the Turkey Day race. November 4th.
We go to that. We've been going there every year since we started for that race too. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you have so many exciting things. I love that you and Jason Walls with the Mideast Modifieds. I love that. I think that's going to be a really fun event. Of course.
I think it will be too.
Yeah, and King of the Carolinas, of course, is always a fantastic event. So let people know where they can find you, because some people are going to listen to this on maybe Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Of course, I go live. We're live on Facebook and YouTube right now on Crate Insiders channels. But where can people find all of your things online?
Well, we keep our website. Brian Metzke does that for me. He's been with me for a long time. He does the websites. BlueRidgeOLM.com is the Blue Ridge Outlaws, and we got the American Race. It's AmericanMods.net is that one for the American Racer Modified series. And we also got Facebook page American Racer Modifieds presented with Velocita, and Blue Ridge Outlaw Latemodels on Facebook, and we do have a Blue Ridge Outlaw late model Twitter, which I have not done good keeping it up and going, so I need to turn it over to Hunter, so he likes to do all that stuff.
Great. Yeah. Great. Well, that's great. And you guys, anybody who's listening and watching, be sure to check out all the events we were talking about. We'll try to put those into the show notes. And I want to thank you all for listening and watching. If you're over on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on Facebook, like our Facebook page, and be sure to join our email list. You can join at CrateInsider.com, and you'll learn about our, crate engine parts that we sell too, or other race car parts we sell. But we do try to do a recap of the podcast on a weekly basis. So thanks for being here, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week, and have a good one. Bye.